Most people wake up to survive the day. Robin Sharma woke up to dominate it. Long before the world knew the name 5 a.m. Club, he was waking in the dark alone, uncertain but unshakable. This isn't just a morning routine. It's the story of how a man rewrote his destiny, one sunrise at a time. It's not about alarm clocks and habits. It's about reclaiming your life before the world steals your energy. In the early 1990s, Robin Sharma was what most people would call successful. He had all the external markers of a prestigious job as a litigation lawyer in Toronto. Sharp suits, and a life that appeared polished and powerful. He was young, rising fast, and seemingly had it all. But deep inside, he was burning out. Stress was eating away at him. He was disconnected from any sense of deeper purpose. The suits, the titles, the legal victories were just masks for a quiet misery, he once said. I had money, but I had no meaning. He knew something had to change. The price of staying the same had become greater than the fear of change. So one morning, he made a decision that would alter the trajectory of his entire life. He walked away from the law, from the identity he had built, from the image he wore like armor. He sold his Rolex, donated his expensive suits, and sat down in a quiet cafe with a notepad and a dream. A dream to write a book, not for fame, not for money, but to make sense of his own chaos. He poured his pain into the pages of a story called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. What most people don't know is when he wrote it. Not in the middle of the day, not in the comfort of ease. He wrote it at 5 a.m. when the world was silent and only the truly hungry were awake. In those early hours, he found something most people never do: clarity. In the silence, he met himself again. In the darkness, he began to rebuild. It wasn't about discipline at first. It was about survival. That hour before sunrise became sacred. He moved his body. He reflected on his life. He read the words of ancient philosophers. Slowly, that hour became a formula, a system. 20 minutes of movement, 20 minutes of reflection, 20 minutes of learning. The 20-20-20 formula was born, not in a lab or a boardroom, but in the quiet war of self-discovery. It wasn't flashy, it was foundational. Day after day, Sharma stacked victorious tiny wins before breakfast that compounded into transformation. A journal entry, a workout, a new insight. No applause, no audience, just relentless self-respect. And something began to shift. His energy, his mindset, his presence. People began to notice. Not the fame, not the fortune, but the calm focus, the grounded power. They asked, what are you doing differently? Years passed. The 5 a.m. ritual became his weapon, his edge, his anchor. And in 2018, he finally shared the blueprint with the world in a book called The 5 a.m. Club. But what made it explode wasn't just a catchy title or elegant routine. It was the truth it carried. The authenticity, the rawness. It was a manual born in the fire of breakdown and rebuilt in the morning stillness. The book sold millions, translated into over 90 languages, adopted by CEOs, athletes, students, creators, people craving an edge, a sense of control in a chaotic world. But most readers didn't know that behind the polished cover was a man who used to be lost, a man who woke up in silence, not to impress, but to heal. And here is the truth most people miss. The 5 a.m. Club, ISNT, really about waking up early. It's about reclaiming your power before the world drains it. First hour so the rest of the day can steal your soul. Because once the emails, the noise, the expectations come flying in, most people are already too late. But those who rise at 5 while the world sleeps are already winning. Why does it work? Because at 5 a.m., there are no distractions, no messages, no noise. Just you and the mirror. That's when you're raw, honest, clear. That's when your dreams are awake and your fears are still asleep. That's when you become dangerous not to others, but to your old self. The doubter, the procrastinator, the version of you that settles. Robin Sharma calls it the victory hour for a reason. It's the hour that gives you back control, that returns the crown to your head. Not because of hustle, but because of honor. Because in those moments when no one's watching, you either build your life or betray it. He didn't always feel motivated. He didn't always feel strong, but he showed up every day. While the world was still dreaming, he was designing. While others delayed, he decided. That's what makes the 5 a.m. Club powerful. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. It's not a trend. It's a tool. A tool forged through failure, through loneliness, through grit. In the silence of 5 a.m., he built his future. And not just success, but peace, discipline, depth. The kind that no applause can give. The kind that lives in your bones. You don't need to be a best-selling author to rise at 5. You don't need money. Or you just need courage. The courage to turn off Netflix. To reject comfort. To set your alarm and say, tomorrow, I'll meet myself. Because that's the promise of the 5 a.m. Club. That before the world owns, you own yourself. Imagine this. You wake up while it's still dark. You laced your shoes. The world is silent. You move, you sweat, you breathe, you think, you journal, you plan, you reflect, you learn. All before most people have hit snooze. That's not a routine. That's a revolution. That's how legends are built. Robin Sharma didn't create the 5 a.m. Club to impress the world. He created it to survive it, to find himself when he was most lost. And that's why it works, because it was born from truth, not trend. So here's the question. What could you become if you owned your mornings? Who could you be if you stopped reacting and started designing? What life could you build if every day began with purpose, power, and peace? You don't need motivation. You need movement. You don't need more time. You need more intention. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need to rise at 5. Rise before the world wakes. Rise before your doubt speaks. Rise before the excuses win. Robin Sharma didn't wait for success to change. He changed and success followed. In silence, in solitude, in those forgotten hours when no one clapped and no one cares. That's where greatness begins. The world will always offer distractions, but it will never hand you direction. That's your job, and it starts tomorrow, not someday, not next month, tomorrow at 5 a.m. when the world sleeps and you rise. So what's stopping you? A few hours of sleep, a little discomfort. Let me remind you, comfort never created champion. Convenience never wrote a legacy. It's those who choose the difficult path, the early path, the silent path, who leave footprints worth following. Tomorrow, when that alarm rings, you'll have two choices. Go back to sleep and drink, or wake up and chase them. Drop A in the comments if you're joining the 5 a.m. Club tomorrow. Share the one habit you'll start in that first hour. Because the next chapter of your life won't be written when it's easy. It will be written before sunrise. And the world, it can wait. You rise.